Welcome back to the Quiet Man series, episode 31. This episode is about leadership, and you'll see that emerge as the episode unfolds. To give you a bit of a background of where I was at this time in my life, I was still running, and I was still walking with the Quakers, and I was still instilling a sense of peace and calmness. One of the people I'd met on one of the Quaker retreats was a man called Adam. He was an artist. I gave him a copy, a manuscript of The Freedom Tree. This is a book that I've been working on for the last 10 years. It's got the face fear story in it. It's got the forgiveness story in it. I'd given Adam a copy of the book, hoping that he would come up with some illustrations for it. Anyway, we're on a run because Adam wanted to run a marathon, so I was helping him to train for that marathon. And we got into Hunter's Pace around Richmond Park one day, which is where you're just in the zone. It's like you just run in, and it's absolutely effortless, even though you've done 18 miles. And I said to him, Adam, how's it going with the illustrations for the Freedom Tree? And he turned around and he said, well, I am a bit embarrassed actually. He said, I haven't read it yet. I went, oh, okay. Why is that? He said, I'm dyslexic. And I find it very hard to read. I went, Anyway, we got back and we had breakfast. And over breakfast, I turned around and I said, well, why don't we carve some time out and I'll read the stories to you? And he said, that is a cracking idea. So we found some time the following week and I sat him down and I literally just read through The Freedom Tree to him from beginning to end. Within 2 weeks, he had 37 stunning watercolours, and we were able to get the Freedom Tree published. And here, in all its glory, is the front cover for it. And the illustrations are stunning. One of the other threads that was emerging at the time was in this idea of quietness. I was looking at leadership. Now, leadership is multifaceted, and there are two definitions that I've always liked. One's by Churchill, one's by Truman. One of them said the art of leadership is persuading people to do what they know they should have done in the first place. The other one said the art of leadership is taking people to a place they wouldn't necessarily go on their own. And you got this push and this pull, this yin and this yang, this come with me, let me follow you. And I actually like that idea that there's a yin and a yang to leadership. And I became aware of a concept called servant leadership, which is the ideas of Robert Greenleaf. And in the ethos, the spirit of servant leadership is that to lead, you need to serve first, which is complete anathema, if you think about it, to a command and control structure. You know, that militaristic, that political hierarchy, top-down approach. But I studied this some more. And the more I studied it, the more I read on it, the more I realised actually the best leaders are the quiet leaders. The ones that slowly influence from behind. The ones that listen. And Robert Greenleaf says there are visionaries amidst us right now if we just stop and listen. And it's that idea that vision doesn't have to be this great PR campaign. Sure, fantastic when Kennedy came out with Man on the Moon by the end of the decade, or the whole concept of Churchill taking control and taking us forward in the war. There is a time and place for the great man or the great woman to come forth and lead us. But predominantly, the biggest movements in the world are the ones that start slowly and quietly, and there's a visionary that slowly brings people together. And I just really like that idea of quiet leadership, leadership from within, leadership from beneath. And you look at society right now and you kind of go, we could do with an awful lot more of that. And perhaps at that time, it was the beginnings of something that I would write about in the years to come. Essentially, it's the difference between introversion and extroversion. And there's a book in the future called Quiet, written by Susan Cain, which is the power of introverts in a world that can't stop talking. I'm a great advocate for the idea of quiet leadership, leadership from within, leadership from below. So, what's this chapter really about? The idea that leadership doesn't have to be top down, it doesn't have to be loud, it doesn't have to be noisy, it doesn't have to be about command and control and coercion, it doesn't have to be about power over. Leadership is about power within, from power below, quiet, consistent. Just listen. Listen for the quiet visionaries that are amidst us right now. And that's probably why this series is called the Quiet Man series. I'm going to leave it there. If you've liked it, give it a thumbs up, comment on it please, share it with your friends. But the whole ethos of this episode is quiet leadership. Serve first. Thank you very much.